Good morning, 6th grade. Happy Friday. Good work this week. Very proud of you guys. Go ahead and hit pause and try to figure out the definition and part of speech of influx. No, really, hit pause. Okay, so there's a little trick here. When you have an article is like the word a or the. When you have an article, it's almost always followed by a certain part of speech. You don't believe me? How about this? A apple, the dog, a Sasquatch, an igloo. Um, those articles are almost always followed by a thing or a person, a doctor. Um, they're almost always followed by a noun. So it's a very good guess when you have an article that the word after is going to be a noun. Now, here's where you want to be careful. You can have a noun after the article, but sometimes there might also be an adjective there. So you might have a house, but what color? A purple house. So there, in between the noun and the article, you can sneak a little adjective in there. So you want to be careful, but it's a pretty good guess when you have an article that the part of speech is going to be a noun. Okay? And in this case, that's the correct answer. An influx is a noun. So let's try to figure it out. Here we have an influx of trucks. As you can see, there are a lot of them. So here's a lot of trucks. That kind of works. Let's try the next sentence. South Florida has a lot of northern tourists every winter. That makes sense. People from the north are going down south because it's warm. It's actually kind of nice outside too right now. Kind of feels like it's Florida. Anywho, that is what influx means. It means a lot of people. But even more specifically, an influx is a arrival of a lot of people. So it has the word in it, right? Because it's a lot of people that are coming into a certain place. If you look at the last sentence, we will have to build an addition to the school because of all the influx of new students. All those new students who are joining, all those new students who are moving in. So that is what an influx is. Okay. Today, I want to introduce a new term to you, okay? And that term is historical fiction. So please write down the word historical fiction. I would race you, but I would beat you because I already wrote it down, as you can see. So historical fiction is a genre. It's a type of literature. It's a type of book. Some books you might describe them as being fantasy. Some you might just say are flat out fiction. Some might be nonfiction. Some might be sci-fi. But there's also historical fiction. Now let's break this up because fiction, do you remember fiction versus nonfiction? Fiction means fake. So a fiction is a story that is not true. It has characters that are not real, right? Like George Washington was a real person. Fiction might, talk about a character like George Washington Humbug. You know what I'm talking about? That was a nice... Do you see how I made a reference? Remember what we call a reference? That was an allusion. Good job. Now, so fiction is a fake story, just like the Phantom Tollbooth, right? Phantom Tollbooth was made up. Historical, it refers to history, right? So history is something that happened in the past. So if we put those two together, historical fiction is a story that is fictional, so it's fake, it's made up, that is set in a real historical time period. Go ahead and hit pause and copy down that definition. Okay, so Anne-Marie and Ellen are not real people. They're not. Lois Lowry invented them. She created them. So the story that we're reading is fictional. But it's happening during a very real historical time period. There is a certain character that shows up over and over in the story, and that character is a real living, well, he's not living anymore, but he was a living person. Can you think of who that person is? Who is that man who rides by on the horse? You remember his name? It's King Christian the 10th. Very good. So King Christian X was a real king. He was the king of Denmark. So, in this story that we're reading about Anne Marie and Ellen, who are made up characters. They're not real. But there are real characters in this, like real people in the story. There are also real actual events that happen in the story. And that's what I want to that's where I want to start today, okay? So, you are going to be Kirsty, okay? And try your best to sound like a little whiny girl, okay? Just like a little whiny sister. Try to sound as annoying as possible, okay? I am going to be Mama and Papa and Anne Marie and the narrator, okay? And I'm going to have a voice for each person, so you better bring your A game, all right? Now, here's our goal. We're going to try to find 2 real-life historical events, all right? We have a short little reading today, and there are 2 real-life events that it alludes to, that it references, and I want to see if you can find them both. Okay? Are you ready to sound whiny? Anne Marie grinned and walked her Scarlet toward the chair that Ellen had designated as Tivoli. She loved Tivoli Gardens in the heart of Copenhagen. There's a picture of Tivoli. She loved Tivoli. Her parents had taken her there often when she was a little girl. She remembered the music and the brightly colored lights, the carousel, the ice cream, and especially the magnificent fireworks in the evening. Pew, pew, pew. The huge colored splashes and the bursts of lights in the evening sky. Oh, I remember the fireworks best of all. Silly, you never saw the fireworks? Tivoli Gardens was closed now. The German occupation forces had burned part of it, perhaps as a way of punishing the fun-loving Danes for their light-hearted pleasures. Kirsty drew herself up, her small shoulders stiff. Let's keep going. Then Anne Marie remembered. Kirsty's birthday was late in August, and that night, only a month before, she too had been wakened and frightened by the sound of explosions. Kirsty was right. The sky in the southeast had been ablaze, and Mama had comforted her by calling it a birthday celebration. Imagine such fireworks for a little girl 5 years old! The next evening's newspaper had told the sad truth. The Danes had destroyed their own naval fleet, blowing up the vessels one by one as the Germans approached to take over the ships for their own use. How sad the king must be. How proud. Very good. I'm wondering if you can tell there were 2 historical events that the story alludes to, the story references. So, what happened to Tivoli? It's kind of like the Danish version of Disney World. Okay, and if you Google it, you'll actually see they rebuilt Tivoli Gardens. And again, it's kind of like Disney World. But what happened to it? The German forces burned it. And that actually happened. So again, Anne Marie, Ellen, and Kirsty, these are made up characters, but they're talking about events that actually happened in history. Now, Kirsty, she sees this fire in the sky, and she hears these explosions, and her mother tells her that they're fireworks. Why do you think she did that? I think the mom probably did that so that Kirsty wouldn't be frightened, because she's only 5 years old. But were they actually fireworks? They weren't. It was actually the Danish. They actually sunk their own ships. That is an image of one of the Danish ships. They sunk them. so that the Nazis, because when they were invading, they knew they were going to be taken over. So they actually sunk their own ships to make sure that the Nazis couldn't use them. They were worried that the Nazis would steal these ships and then use them to continue to win the war. So it was very sad that they had to do this, but on the other hand, it was really smart tactically because it prevented the Nazis from having more equipment. So again, historical fiction. Fiction is fake, a story that's made up, characters aren't real, but historical fiction can have actual real people from the past, real characters from history, and real life events. The Danish actually truly did this. So very good, my friend. Now, I want to review. Do you remember how to make a signpost discussion question? It's okay if not. We talked about it last time. So, what you do first is you find a signpost, and then you write down the anchor question. Do you remember where the anchor questions are? They're on your bookmark. And then, what do you do to the anchor question? You make it more specific. Very good. So I want to practice this together because I think we just heard about a signpost. Did those fireworks happen right now as Kirsty and Anne-Marie and Ellen are playing with dolls? No. That happened in the past. So what signpost would that be? That is a memory moment. Very good. So we found a signpost. And next, we're going to write down the anchor question. Do you remember the anchor question for memory moment? I'll race you. It's why might this memory be important? Very good. So to make a discussion question, we're going to make that question more specific. So, whose memory be important? What if we said, why might Kirsty's memory be important? That's a better question. Let me ask you this. I think we can make it even better, right? How about this? Why might Kirsty's memory of the fireworks be important? That is even more specific. Why might Kirsty's memory of fireworks on her birthday be important? I think it's important because it shows Mama lying. Mama tells a lie, but in this case, I think it makes sense why she lied. She's trying to protect her daughter. So that discussion question is a much better question. If you walked into a room and said, hey, Ma, why is this memory important? She'd be like, what are you talking about? What memory? If you went in and you said, hey, Ma, why might Kirsty's memory of fireworks on her birthday be important? Your mom might say, Kirsty who? And then you say, oh, hold on, let me read this book to you. Have you been reading your book out loud? I hope so. Every human being should read this book. It's that good. All right, let's continue. So, I'm going to be Anne-Marie, and you're going to be Ellen, okay? And we're going to read a little short script, and the goal here is to find as many signposts as you can, okay? Are you ready? Do you have an Ellen voice in mind? Ready? Go! Oh, of course not. They're always threatening stuff. They just like to scare people. Oh, you were great as the Dark Queen in the school play last year. You should be an actress when you grow up. You should try saying, I am Lisa Johansson. If you told the Nazis that you were the Dark Queen, they'd haul you off to a mental institution. Oh, not in a million years. I don't know exactly. Lisa and Peter were out somewhere together, and then there was a telephone call, and then there had been an accident. Mama and Papa rushed to the hospital, remember? Your mama came and stayed with me and Kirsty. Kirsty was already asleep, and she slept right through everything. She was so little then, but I stayed up, and I was with your mother in the living room when my parents came home in the middle of the night, and they told me that Lisa had died. Anne-Marie finished brushing her long hair and handed her hairbrush to her best friend. Ellen undid her braids, lifted her dark hair away from the thin gold chain that she wore around her neck, the chain that held the Star of David, and she began to brush her thick curls. I think it was partly because of the rain. They said she was hit by a car. I suppose the streets were slippery and it was getting dark. And maybe the driver just couldn't see. Do you see that blue trunk in the corner? Lots of Lisa's things are in there, even her wedding dress. Mama and Papa never looked at those things, not since the day they packed them away. Oh, she would have liked that. She loved you. They won't take you away. Not your parents either. Papa promised that they were safe, and he always keeps his promises. And you are quite safe here with us. Everything seemed familiar, very comforting. Dangers were no more than odd imaginings, like ghost stories that children made up to frighten one another. Things that couldn't possibly happen. Anne Marie felt completely safe here in her own home, with her parents in the next room and her best friend asleep beside her. She yawned contentedly and closed her eyes. But then, you know what's going to happen. My friends, prepare yourself for Monday. We're going to have a nice little video of you know what. Okay, stay tuned. All right, my friends. So, you do not have any homework that's due Monday, okay? I pushed back the reading until Wednesday. Okay, so you can read ahead and you can record signposts. Okay, I'll show you in a moment. I already posted this on Google Classroom, so you can turn it in ahead of time. You just don't need to. Okay, it's not due until Wednesday. Okay, personally, I'm the kind of person that I like to just knock stuff out. Like I get something and I love to just do it right away. But that's totally fine. I want you guys to enjoy your weekend and to relax and decompress after this long week. Okay, it's been a week of adjustment, and I'm so proud of you guys. Okay, this would be a great time if you did not turn in your homework that was due on Wednesday or that was due Friday. This would be a good time to work on it, right? Because again, you don't have any homework that's due Monday. So again, if you didn't turn in an assignment, this would be a great time to do it. So I am gonna go to Google Classroom really quick. Sorry, I'm gonna go back to the home page. Okay, so you'll see here this homework for reading number 3 is not due until Wednesday. Okay, so you don't need to worry about it yet, but I do want to show you what it looks like. It looks like all the other homework, so you can just click on it. It's reading chapters 8 through 12. You're going to record 2 signposts, and you can find more for extra credit. So I'm going to hit View Assignment. Okay, and I'm going to click on the document itself so that it pops up. Okay, so again, you would just plug in, okay, I found a signpost on page 84. Maybe it was an aha moment. And Anne-Marie realized ... Okay, find at least 2 signposts. Find more for extra credit. Lots of you are getting extra credit. Now, I was really impressed by the discussion questions that you guys made. Pick one of these signposts up here. Okay, and make a discussion question out of it. So if it was an aha moment, maybe I copy. Do you remember how to copy? Control C. And then I paste it up here. Very good. And then, you could make your anchor question more specific to make a discussion question. So you have lots of opportunities to get extra credit, okay? If you, for whatever reason, you didn't have a chance to finish the work that was due on Wednesday or that was due on Friday, that's okay. Okay, just do your best. Okay, so you can click on the homework. Okay, that was homework number 1. Maybe you didn't finish it. Go ahead and click on it and try to find signposts for this first reading, a signpost in chapter 2 or chapter 3. Okay, and everybody, please hit turn in when you're done. That's very important to hit turn in. Okay, so my friends, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you guys read outside and you read out loud. You just finished watching the video, so please comment done down below. Great job. Love you guys.